The heat was so intense, it could melt metal. For 5 days and nights, Lisbon was engulfed in a sea of fire. It swept away everything in its path. The ground roars. The sound of the massive volume of water moving forward is overwhelming. All in a single morning. This is the story of how Lisbon, the heart of an empire, was erased. In 1755, Lisbon wasn't just a city. It was the center of the world, a capital of a global empire. Its wealth was legendary, its architecture the pride of a nation. November 1st, All Saints' Day. The city prepares for one of the most important holidays of the year.
The air is filled with reverence and celebration. A near-perfect peace.
But deep underground, an ancient power stirs. The most sensitive creatures are the first to feel it. The subtle warnings which humanity, in its pride, completely ignored. The city's wells mysteriously dried up and then refilled. 9:40 in the morning. The final warning had arrived. The sound of a falling stone is clearly heard. And then, the first horseman arrived. A terrifying earthquake. Estimated to be equivalent to 8.5 to 9.0 magnitude, the earthquake unleashed an unimaginable energy right beneath the city's heart. The symbol of faith and great architecture was one of the first victims. The destruction took place in just a few minutes. The streets of Lisbon turned into giant grinding machines. The ground was no longer a safe haven. Even the symbol of royal power could not stand firm. 70,000 priceless volumes, including unique maps and maritime records, were buried forever.
The sound of the stones breaking and falling into the water is deafening.
The sound of stone shattering echoes through the air. The clear morning sky turned into a gray haze of ash and despair. The large-scale destruction was complete.
Time in Lisbon seemed to have stopped.
But this was just the beginning. The survivors of the earthquake flocked to the harbor area, believing the open space would be safe. It was a fatal mistake, because the second horseman was on its way. Amidst the chaos, a strange phenomenon occurs. The ocean retreats. A deadly sign that few in 18th century Europe could understand. A tsunami was forming. The sound of the ship's wood creaking can be heard in the wind. The silence before the storm. A deadly lull. And then it came.
The second horseman had arrived.
This was not a wave. This was an unstoppable wall of water, born from the very earthquake offshore.
It swept away everything in its path. Three successive waves swept through the city, finishing the job the earthquake had started.
The dual destruction was almost complete.
And when it seemed it couldn't get any worse, the third horseman appeared, not from the earth or sea, but
Hundreds, then thousands of small fires began to erupt across the city. The weather conditions at that time created a perfect trap. The wind turned the separate fires into a single monster.
A firestorm.
The heat was so intense, it could melt metal. It incinerated everything, even what the earthquake and tsunami had missed. For 5 days and nights, Lisbon was engulfed in a sea of fire.
The heart of the empire was being consumed.
The triple disaster was complete. When the smoke cleared, the world saw an unimaginable sight.
85% of the city was destroyed.
The 1755 Lisbon disaster not only destroyed a city, it shook the foundations of European thought. It raised profound questions about God, nature, and human progress.
This event marked the beginning of modern seismology.
And it was a painful lesson in how we must understand and respect the power of natural disasters.
A lesson written in fire and water. The sound of a gentle wind can be heard. A permanent scar on history.